Hey guys, I'm Brent Rose, tech writer and Georgia's coolest grandma. So as you know, California is in the middle of an unprecedented drought. In fact, just back in April, Governor Jerry Brown issued the state's first mandatory water restrictions in its history. Which is good, but those restrictions were only for municipal water usage. And while we should be drought-shaming wasteful celebrities for their gigantic emerald green lawns, those guys are dicks, municipal water usage is just a small slice of the watery pizza pie. A whopping 80% of California's water usage goes toward agriculture. 80! And there's a reason behind that. California is the country's most productive agricultural state by a huge margin. Between livestock, fruit, nuts, vegetables, and eggs, it's a $50 billion a year industry. So obviously growing food is important, but some foods guzzle a lot more water than others. So how do you know which is which? If you have vegetarian friends on Facebook, you've probably heard something to the effect of, if you really want to save water, don't eat meat. And sorry meat eaters, they're kind of right. It takes 638 gallons of water to give you just a 6-ounce piece of beef. That's a ton of water for just a little steak. Actually, it's 2.66 tons of water. This isn't just because cows are thirsty little buggers, it's because of how much water goes into growing their feed. We'll come back to that in a minute. But for now, just know that yes, beef is the worst offender as far as water usage. Even if you break it down as gallons per calorie or gallons per gram of protein, beef is the worst. But don't get too smug yet, vegetarians. While beef is the worst and lamb is close behind, two of your favorite proteins are almost as bad. Lentils use 570 gallons and garbanzo beans use a crazy 609 gallons of water to produce 8 ounces of food. In contrast, 8 ounces of chicken requires just 133 gallons. In other words, chickpeas consume 4.5 times more water than chickens. So if beef is the worst protein, which is the best? Well, by most metrics, it's the incredible edible huevo. If you look at how many gallons of water per gram of protein you get, eggs win handily at 3.67 gallons per gram. Chicken comes in second at 4.76 gallons per gram. Sheep meat is the worst at 22.13, followed closely by beef at 20.26. The humble egg wins in water to calorie ratio too, coming in at just 1/4 gallon per calorie. Beef handily loses this one, coming in at 2.5 gallons per calorie. In other words, the egg uses just over 1/10 the amount of water per calorie that beef does. To help you visualize all of this, imagine each one of these plastic cups is a full gallon of water. So you know how okra is kind of slimy and you're always looking for an excuse not to eat it? Well, here you go. It takes 62 gallons to make 8 ounces of okra. Asparagus is even worse, coming in at 163 gallons. Compare that to real water sippers like carrots, which use 7.4 gallons, and that's a huge contrast. How's about fruit? In the middle we have raspberries coming in at 34 gallons, and nectarines coming in at 38 gallons per 8 ounces. At nearly double that, we have avocados at 72 gallons. But here's the thing. Try and take away a Californian's avocado, and he will hunt you down and murder your children. Besides, there are way worse fruit out there. Cherries come in at a whopping 98 gallons per 8 ounces, which is a shame because I love those things. If there's any ray of sunlight in all of this, it's strawberries. Those little growers come in at just 10 gallons per 8 ounces. How's about a tasty beverage to wash that down? Milk is pretty bad, coming in at 44 gallons. Orange juice is a bit better, coming in at 33 gallons. And wine is better still, coming in at 22. But you know what's better than all of that? Beer! Beer is only 16 gallons per 8 ounces. Although, nobody drinks beer in 8-ounce increments, so if we're looking at a 16-ounce pint, then we're talking about 32 gallons of water. Compare that with a more realistic 6-ounce pour of wine, which is only about 20. So, okay, wine is the better one. But fuck it, you can drink beer. Here's how some other foods stack up. Brussels sprouts, 19.5 gallons. Taters, 23.8 gallons. Huevos, 93.8 gallons. Spaghetti, 132.8 gallons. Chicken, good. 132.9 gallons. Tofu, 151 gallons. Cheddar, 180.2 gallons. Almonds, 184 gallons. Bacon, 330 gallons. Lentils, 570 gallons. Garbanzo beans, 609 gallons. Boof, 850.2 gallons. So how does this look in the context of meals? Well, we invited registered dietitian nutritionist Jessica Guterman to come in here and put together a few meals for us. They're high in protein, solid on calories and fiber, and are rich in vitamins and minerals. The difference? Oh, only 650 gallons of water. Plate A uses a whopping 813 gallons of water. Plate B is at least as good nutritionally speaking, but it only requires 163 gallons to make. In other words, you could make plate B for 5 different people before you equal the water consumption of just one plate A. We did this to show you how much of an impact the choices you make can have at every single meal. Multiply that by 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, and that's a massive amount of water. Okay, so you've got all this information, what do you do with it? Well, for starters, you should check out Wired's Guide to Produce That Won't Make the Drought Worse. Our own Joanna Pearlstein crunched an exhaustive amount of data and used it to rank various crops by water usage and organize them by season. The result is a very handy chart you can print out and stick on your fridge or just download to your phone. But lastly, what about almonds? Major news outlets have been slandering them and they've become a very public villain. But as Gizmodo's Alyssa Walker points out, it's really not so much. We're talking about 184 gallons per 8 ounces, which is just above asparagus, but it's still a fraction of what beef, pork, and chickpeas use. You have to look at what you get for that water expenditure. For starters, you get a high protein, high calorie food. So nutritionally, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. But you're getting a lot of buck for your buck too. Last year alone, almonds brought in $11 billion of revenue to the state of California. So if you want a villain to blame, who's a better target? Surprise, the Kaiser Soze of California agriculture is alfalfa. But it's not because of the sprouts on your salad. We use more water growing alfalfa than we do any other single agricultural product. We're talking 15% or more. Compare that to 10% for almonds. But unlike our little nut buddies, alfalfa isn't used to feed humans. It's used to feed cows. And not even American cows. What the hell is going on here? California uses over 1 million acres to grow alfalfa, yet only a small fraction of that goes to feeding California's cows. The vast majority of it is shipped overseas, largely used to pay down our national trade debt to China. In 2011, the Port of Los Angeles alone shipped 2.4 million metric tons of animal feed, the majority of which was alfalfa grown in California. This is the equivalent of shipping off 2.4 billion gallons of water in the middle of an incredibly severe drought. That's completely insane. So what did we learn here today? Obviously, we're all hoping that the drought will end very soon. In the meantime, you've got some more information to make some better choices, and maybe there's a representative you want to call about certain policies. I don't know. Let us know in the comments below what food surprised you the most. Subscribe to Wired if you haven't already, and with that being said, there's only one thing left to do.